Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The world reacts to the U.S. missiles attacks on a Syrian airbase. Oman oil price reaches $54 and 49 cents per barrel. And to promote the domestic tourism in the Governorate of the Far, the Taka Tourism Festival 2017 is commenced. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines. And now, live from the news center of the Sultanate of Oman television, here we present to you the details of this news bulletin. Syrian refugees living in a camp near the Turkish border today welcomed a move by the United States to strike a Syrian airbase. The United States fired cruise missiles early today, targeting a Syrian airbase from which President Donald Trump said a deadly chemical weapons attack had been launched. It was the first direct U.S. assault on the Syrian government in 6 years of civil war. At least 70 people, many of them children, were killed in Tuesday's attack on Khan Sheikhoun by what U.S. government sources said was sarin gas. Meanwhile, the leaders of Germany and France say the Syrian president brought American missile strikes upon himself by using chemical weapons. German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President Francois Hollande said in a joint statement today, after talking on the phone, that President Assad alone carries responsibility for these developments. The two leaders called upon the international community to join forces for a political transition in Syria in accordance with the United Nations resolution. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe expressed support for the U.S. missiles attack on the Syrian government-controlled airbase. Rhinos are being slaughtered in record numbers to meet the insatiable demand for their horns in countries such as China and Vietnam, where they are believed to have medicinal properties and sell for more than gold. At the world's largest rhino farm, staff are cutting off the animals' horns not to meet this demand, but to save the rhinos' lives. Here is a report.
Cutting off their horns to save their lives. A weekly routine on this immense South African rhino breeding farm, the largest in the world. In less than 15 minutes, Michelle Otto's team tranquilizes the animal, removes its horns with a saw, and sends it on its way. It protects them from injury during fights and leaves them significantly less attractive to poachers. But as the horn regrows, the process must be repeated.
We made sure that the part that we trimmed was nowhere near the sensitive areas. So in essence, the part of the horn that we trimmed doesn't have any blood supply, doesn't have any nerve supply, so it can't be painful to them. It would be like cutting or trimming your own nails, or cutting your hair, for instance.
But hair that's worth a fortune. Like human fingernails, rhino horn is simply made of keratin, but is highly prized in Asia, where it's purported to have medicinal value. There, a kilogram can fetch $60,000, more than either gold or cocaine. As owner of the 1,200 rhino on this farm, John Hume is fighting to overturn the international ban on rhino horn trade, which he says does little to protect this endangered species.
It's not the demand that is killing the rhinos. It's the way we are supplying that demand. And we are supplying that demand with dead rhino.
Today he spends about €150,000 a month simply on security. The removed horns are weighed, marked and stored in a secret location. Hume's detractors, however, point out that he's a businessman and that he's sitting on a gold mine. 5 tons of horn guarded 24/7, just betting on the chance of one day selling off his stockpile.
What I'm doing here is not sustainable for me. The cost is too huge. There is only one way that I will pay for this cost. That is to sell my rhino horn and to use that money to protect my rhino. So to me, the people who are stopping me from selling my rhino horn and protecting my rhino may as well be joined with the poachers, because they will kill my rhino.
Close to 1,200 rhino were poached in South Africa last year alone. But here at Hume's farm, rhinos are on the rise. 600 have been born in the last 8 years, and orphan calves are rehabilitated and released here before finding a mate of their own to continue the line of this struggling species.
Oman oil price reached today $54 and 49 cents per barrel. Dubai Mercantile Exchange said that Oman oil rose by $1 and 35 cents compared to yesterday's price of $53 and 14 cents per barrel. The average price of Oman oil April 2017 delivery has reached $55 and 12 cents. That's $1 and 19 cents per barrel higher than March 2017 delivery. The Taqa Tourism Festival 2017 was held in the Governorate of Dhofar. It aimed to promote domestic tourism in the Governorate and to introduce its various historical heritage and cultural aspects. The event witnessed a wide participation from the members of the society. It included a number of sections for craft industries, youth creations and Omani products. Some artistic and traditional dances were performed during the event to entertain the participant. The 10-day event will also include religious, sports activities with the aim to attract a wide number of visitors. The opening ceremony was presided over by His Excellency Sayyid Mohammed bin Sultan Al Busaidi, Minister of State and Governor of Dhofar. Still to come in our news bulletin. Scientists are busy searching Chile's Atacama Desert for clues to life in a place it much resembles Mars. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. With the aim to spread awareness of child rights among the community, the Directorate General of Social Development in the Governorate of Al-Dhahira held a seminar on child protection. The seminar focused on laws and legislations in the field of childhood and practical measures to protect child, in addition to the role of domestic institutions and work mechanisms in the field of protecting childhood in order to activate child rights and set recommendations and suggestions for the work program for those institutions. It also discussed the necessity of the child protection, introduce their rights and spread awareness about all topics related to children. The Directorate of Social Development in the Governorate of Dhofar held a ceremony to celebrate the World Autism Day, which falls on the 2nd of April every year. The celebration, which was organized in cooperation with Dhofar centers, aimed at integrating children affected by autism into society. Through activities and lectures, autism centers in the Sultanate seeks to raise awareness among society members about the afflictions as well as ways of diagnosing and dealing with it. At the end of the event, the participants and sponsors were honored. A ceremony was held in the Wilaya of Msuna in the Governorate of South Al-Batina to celebrate the World Health Day. The main focus was on depression, its causes and ways of prevention. The event was accompanied by an exhibition that shed light on the importance of spreading awareness among the members of the community towards types of depression disorder. A number of lectures and visual shows were also presented on the significance of nutrition and physical exercises to treat depression, as well as to keep the body and mind healthy. And now all the way to a place that resembles Mars. Chile's Atacama Desert may seem to contain little besides red-gray rocks and sand, but scientists are busy searching here for clues to life in place it much resembles Mars. More details in the following report.
On the left, the planet Mars, seen by the robot Curiosity. On the right, the Atacama Desert in northern Chile. Two places with a surprising resemblance. The Atacama Desert is a playground for scientists. On little more than sunlight, tiny algae and bacteria evolved to survive in its parched earth. If they have done it here, then why not on Mars, 225 million kilometers away?
If the conditions are similar and there's life here, then if there's life on Mars, it's probably very similar.
Cristiana Dorador studies the DNA of those microorganisms to learn how they adapt to extreme environments.
If we can understand how these microorganisms live, how they live with these rocks, how they get moisture and adapt to these conditions, then when we have information about life forms on other planets, possibly in the near future, we will have our correlate here on Earth.
The robot Curiosity has been looking for life on Mars for the past 4 years, with no success. A new machine will join him next year to search the planet's subsoil for traces of fossil life.
To study Mars is perhaps to understand how life was born on Earth. We still don't know exactly how it happened.
And liftoff.
NASA is even aiming to send people to the planet in 2030, which means a trip to the red planet is now more science than fiction.
Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over most of the governorates with chances of dust, raising wind on the coastal areas of Sea of Oman. Winds will be southeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight to moderate with the maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The world reacts to the US missiles attacks on a Syrian air base. Oman oil price reaches $54 and 49 cents per barrel. And to promote the domestic tourism in the governorate of Dhofar, the Taqa Tourism Festival 2017 is commenced. With that, we come to an end of tonight's news bulletin, brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. From the entire news team and myself, we thank you for joining us, wish you a pleasant evening and good night.